recording. So she's going to schedule time with each of you just to do like a 20-minute kind of check-in thing, see how you're doing, if you have any kind of feedback at the halfway mark. It's a kind of new thing we're doing with the cohorts now. Now that we have a code of conduct team and not just Stacy, who was our code of conduct team for most of our history. But Lisa, do you want to say anything, introduce yourself, anything?
Sure. Hi, thank you so much for having me in your check-in this week. I'm Lisa. I work with Andrew at Zapier. I'm an engineering manager there, and I've been doing COC and D&I work for most of my career. And I'm happy to be here for y'all, whatever you need. I know right now is a troubling and confusing time just sort of in general. So we're here to provide whatever support we can, but also we're very interested in making sure this is a safe space. So you can talk to me about anything you need. And I'm going to send out I'll put a Calendly link in the channel so that y'all can sign up for a time that's convenient for you. I have a global team, so literally pick whatever time works for you. I'm kind of online all the time. So I'm super pumped that y'all are halfway. That's great work. And I hope you're doing well otherwise, but I'm just at Lisa. So feel free to at me anytime. And yeah, that's all I have for you tonight. There's also a pair of puppies frolicking in front of me, so I can put them on camera if you'd like.
Yeah, I think you're going to be impressed with what you see from this team. It's a different project than what we do with the other cohorts. It's a little more complicated, and they're,
well, sure, because you're vets.
We're happy. That's right. Actually, it was really amazing. We did the kickoff 4 weeks ago or whatever, and the difference between the kickoff for this group and the kickoff for any of the new groups, it's night and day. You know, they're all deer in the headlights when they're brand new.
Sure.
Seems like, yep, got it. Like, well, yeah, let's go. It's like, okay, all right.
I think we can all agree though that that's the proper reaction to working in Git for the first time. So it's
sure.
okay.
Yeah, definitely.
that feels exactly right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, don't want to derail your progress, but I will drop a link in this week, and I hope y'all have a great call. And I'll talk to you all soon.
All right.
Bye, friends.
Thank you. See you later.
Bye. Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you for your time.
Cool. And with that, we'll get into demos. I'm not really I haven't pulled down the app. I've had several calls today already for Collab Lab, so haven't had a chance to pull down the app and look myself. I saw there was a request for my review or something, but I will get to that tonight, hopefully. But who wants to show stuff?
You could go first, could we, Matthew?
Sure, yeah. Ours is long.
Yeah?
I'll see if I can remember everything.
If that's okay. I know it didn't work last time, but we're going to just try it because I have a second screen, so we'll see. Matthew, you might have to share yours, but
yeah. If it doesn't work, I have mine ready to go too. So.
Okay. So hopefully, you guys can see that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so this is our POR. I'll just show you the ACs first. We had to add, or sorry, Matthew, do you want to narrate?
Sure, yeah. So there are 7 in total. So the first one was adding an icon in the top left corner of the header, which essentially appears as like a bullseye. And so when you pan the screen, like manually, so, it finds you first, and then once you pan it, it'll show in color, but if you don't touch it at all, so initially like on load or when it first finds you, it'll show grayed out. And then when you do pan it, and I'm going out of order, when you pan it, there is an alternative dot as well that will appear. We went with a red dot to kind of contrast the blue dot that shows your location. And then when you click the bullseye, so the new icon that's in the header, it'll bring you back, so it'll recenter you to your location. And then, it also will fetch new pins based on where you've panned the map. I don't think we've completed that part yet. And then the very last thing, and this is actually something I just need a little bit of clarification from you, Andrew. is this last one here. So when you do pan the map, it won't center on you again until you manually tap that icon. So that part, sorry, just to ask the question real quick while we're doing this. Is that so like if you're driving, it's not gonna keep centering on you? Is that kind of the point of that?
I put that in there because when I built the app, when I first was trying to like be able to pan around, I had it hooked up wrong so that every time I got a new location from my device, it would just recenter the map. And so that was basically to make sure we don't have that problem creep into the app as well.
Oh, okay.
No problem. Yeah, we hadn't got to that yet, so that's why I didn't raise the question yet. But anyway, yeah, so that's all 7 of the ACs that we approached. So we've ticked off 5 so far.
Yeah. And will I show you the app?
See it? Oh, the header's different color.
Yeah, we changed the color because the bullseye is red. So it just...
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of blending in a little bit.
Yeah. So here's the dot, and it moves to the center of the screen. And then
Getting a tour of Ireland right now.
yeah.
Aisling, are you from Cork?
Yeah, that's where I'm from.
I am too. Although for me to be from Cork, you have to go back to the 1590s.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
That's how long ago no, I haven't been yet, but I definitely will.
Great spot. I was showing Matthew all the spots during the week. That's probably why I finished those last 2 weeks.
We're clicking all the pins, doing a little walk around.
But yeah, so when it's moving, it's in color, and then when you want it to go back, grays out again.
So that's cool. Everything. Okay, I can see that the things grayed out and all that stuff. So it looks like mostly it's kind of like expecting what I would expect. I guess if you open up What's Near Me, like my version of the app, in another tab, and you pan around, you'll see that the centering little icon just stays in place. So yours, you drag and then it has to jump into place.
Okay. Yeah.
So what I like about this version is that it's very clear, like you can kind of center the map on a specific place if you wanted to.
Right.
Where you're kind of guessing until it kind of the pin hopped over.
Yeah, or it was a little laggy until you stopped.
It is laggy.
Okay, we could revisit that.
The only other thing also I just realized too is that red is not a very accessible color. And so I'm wondering if, I know the crosshairs are a little bit hard to see as well. So I'm wondering if we can think of like a different alternative icon.
Yeah, I did have it white and then I thought that wouldn't work either, but maybe different icon or a different color. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because red, a lot of people can't see red. Isn't red one of the colors that is like hard to see? Okay.
I think it's pretty common to be colorblind red, right?
Yeah, red, green colorblind is the most common. So what would probably happen is it would be gray on this kind of gray Google Maps background.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, we'll change that. So.
Okay, we're happy to crowdsource that if it was just as easy as dropping a new icon in there. So
sure.
Yeah.
There's
probably brainstorm or something.
There's some mapping app. They have a nice icon that kind of, it's not a bullseye, but it's kind of a circle with some like tick marks pointing in or something like that. You know what I'm talking about? I don't know. That might be a good one. You could steal that one.
Yeah.
Okay. The way that I got this thing just to stay in place is I cheated. I just put a layer, just a div over the top of the map. I'm not using Google Maps internals, so I probably could have saved you some time by telling you that in the beginning.
Okay.
And Aisling, if you just want to zoom in a little bit further, Aisling, just until we see, so you could see that once you're centered, the dot goes away as well, and so it only appears once you start moving.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
That was kind of the last little feature, I think.
The other thing we did as well, which wasn't in the ACs, is when you click on the pin, the share location was going away. So we actually moved that button, so now it still exists.
Oh, interesting. That's a nice solve. There is a story for later where you click on the title of the app and it brings you back to that original screen. But I kind of like this better. Although the nice thing about I think maybe we'll keep that story. I like the button here, so maybe we'll keep it. But I think we'll keep that other story because the other thing that is on that original screen is going to be like help videos for how to install the thing on your home screen and stuff. So their user needs a way to get back to that somehow.
Mm-hmm.
But that's very good. That's clever.
Yeah, that was Matt's idea.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you have anything else to say, Matthew? Or
do you want to go in the code real quick, or?
Oh, sorry.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
We don't have to. That's the fun part.
Yeah. So what did we add here?
Yeah, we added the user has pans and the set for that, and the maps object and the set for that. I didn't know if this was necessary, and I'm totally happy to revert it, but I separated the success and error functions into their own functions, because originally they were a part of the whole click. But I thought if we needed that error anywhere else, but I almost needed it somewhere else, and then I ended up scrapping it, and so that's kind of how this started. But that got separated as well. And then that handle center click is kind of the bulk of the functionality for the bullseye function. So there's somewhere else that I'm missing, but it sets the object. Let's see, I think it's in the map itself.
The map, yeah.
Yeah, so it takes the Google, it's the whole like handle API loaded. If you just want to click on that. Yeah, that function on line 33 there. So that, oh, sorry, that's the listener to tell if the map's been panned. There's also a handle API loaded function that sets the map object coming from Google Map itself. And then that lets you interact with the map. So adding the event listener for the center changed. That took me a while to figure that out.
Yeah, right.
That was kind of my biggest blocker, is realizing, oh yeah, we have to mess with Google Maps itself.
So, okay, this is a big story, right? Like 7 AC, one that I just surfaced to you just now. Like, so, it doesn't mean that you have to wait until all of them are done to submit the PR. So what we could do is break this into multiple PRs, or like take what you have now. It's nothing broken about it, right? It's just not quite complete. So you could actually do a PR around what you have, and then do a PR to finish up the other AC. And the advantage of that is, and probably at every, I mean, one approach would be like at every point that you have an AC done, or even two, one or two AC done, you could submit a PR at that point. It's less code for the other pair and myself to review at one time. So it's a little more accessible, right? Like it's easier to like, yeah, I can see all the changes. It all makes sense. I have it all in my head. Boom, Whereas this is going to be a pretty big PR, I'm guessing, at the end, right? Like it's going to have a lot of things that have changed. So at this point, what I would probably recommend, and maybe it makes sense anyways because we're going to be switching the pairs, is to take what you have. We'll get it merged, and then keep the story open, and we'll finish off the last couple of AC. Does that sound good?
I think the other thing as well is I had major trouble on Monday with the merge, so a lot of our time was actually fixing that as well. So half the week fixing that merge. Matthew very kindly helped me with that. So yeah, for weeks like that when you have different things going on, that's a great idea.
Yeah, we were just talking about this at work too, where we have stories, and then stories can have tasks under. The story is like a story is meant to be sort of a user-facing unit of value. It's kind of business speak, but what it means is that it's one, it's sort of one concept, one feature a lot of times, whatever it is. So as a user, I want to be able to do this thing, but that doesn't have to map one-to-one to PRs. Like we just had this discussion on my team where, like, actually, if you have a story and you're breaking it up into multiple tasks, each of those tasks is a discrete thing that there probably should be a one-to-one mapping between PRs and tasks. There might be, or there may be. It's allowable for there to be a one-to-one between a story and a PR. It's even possible that you might solve two stories in a PR. So all those things are possible, right? So this is one that's big enough, I would say. Probably should have said last week. It's okay to like submit multiple PRs along the way, so it's more digestible for everybody.
Good.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, this one, we did a draft PR, so it's pretty much ready to go as is anyway. And I think Jen's already reviewed it. So
Nice. Okay.
yeah, happy to turn that into a real one.
Sweet. Love it. All right. Amber and Jen.
Cool. Amber, did you want me to share screen or did you want to share screen?
Share screen or share screen?
Yeah, I know. I noticed I said that. I just didn't want to say anything, hoping that everybody else would ignore it.
Oh no, I won't let it slip.
My internet's being, well, not internet. I might be jinxing it with the Zoom update, but my camera's being a little wonky, so I think you should probably share.
Okay, I'll go ahead and let me see. I think I have it up already. I just want to make sure before I don't share. Yes, I do. Let's share. Right. So for our demo today, we probably won't be showing anything because it actually doesn't do anything yet. Because what we noticed with this AC, and we can just talk about the AC. The AC was just to make sure that if we have an API call that's in progress, that we don't send another one again. And so we realized after we did some pseudocode, wrote down what we wanted to do, and then we coded it out. And then when we went to testing, we realized that we probably needed the other Hair's AC to be hooked up so that we could keep trying to pan the map to try and keep getting new places.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah.
Yeah, so we have some code that is untested. So hopefully it works, but we'll show you all how it works first. So
I have an idea for a way we might be able to see if it's working, which is to have the network tab open and then like kind of start the app up for the first time, hit share. And it probably is going to try to make multiple, if it's not, the old version, like if you were back on master, would probably like stack a few API calls, and your version should only have one.
So. Actually, that means it does work because we put we'll get to it in the code. So basically, what we did was we created a local state here in map to have pending promise. And so we used useState to create a Boolean state. So what we did was we wrapped the actual fetch inside an if clause to see if pending promise is false. So we don't have a pending promise, then go ahead and run this fetch nearby places, which generates the promise and makes the API call. So, and then you can see once we get a resolution, then we set pending promise to false again. So where pending promise actually gets set to true is in, where's the library? Oh, here it is in fetch nearby places. So in here where we're actually calling the API, we're sending in set pending promises, the function as the argument, and then we're just setting pending promise here to true. So as soon as it starts running, React state should be true, so that even if the latitude and longitude, which triggers use effect here, changes it, and set meter nearby places changes it, then it will actually still be this condition won't be met, so it won't fire another API call. So if we do to share my screen,
it's clever. I mean, I'm pretty confident that's going to work. The only like the thing that's kind of bugging me about it, I guess, is that you now have something that like fetch nearby places should be what's called a pure function, which means you give it an input, it gives you an output. There's no coupling between those two pieces. But now fetch nearby places has to know about this other thing, like it has to have this, it's like coupled to having to set state somewhere else, if you know what I mean? So there's a little bit of a mixing of concerns for that function now, which in this app is probably not the biggest deal in the world, but like it's a little bit of smell, I guess. What I'm wondering is whether or not you could just capture the
Set pending
promise.
promise out here.
Yeah, you could keep it maybe just as local state to the component. But what I'm wondering too is if you could just like test the actual promise itself and look for the state of the promise. Because if you query the promise when it's in flight, it'll tell you it's pending. You know, and if
I think
it says
that's something that Amber was suggesting when we were doing this AC, right, Amber?
Mm-hmm.
You're saying if we can somehow check to see if the promise is pending or not.
Yeah, I was thinking that like similarly to how we use what's it called, map properties, that there was some like object or some key value within the object and an object or what have you that was like created by the browser itself that we could check. But then we ended up doing this because I was like, I don't know if that exists because like Jim was saying, I think she was saying because JavaScript is single threaded or something, maybe that wasn't the reason, but essentially there's just a lot of calls being handled when anything runs in JavaScript. So the chances of there being a key that goes to specifically one call in the midst of everything would probably not be like very, like not slim, but like we probably would have lost a lot of time looking into it when it's not pretty intuitive once we sat down and started trying to pseudocode and stuff.
Yeah, so keeping the state local to the component would probably be step one. What you track, it could either be the promise itself or just a state, like a true false kind of thing. But that would decouple it from fetch near applied places, which would just be a little bit cleaner, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, I always want that clean code.
That's right. I'd love to see if it's working though.
Let's
see if my little testing scheme works.
Let me share. Let me change sharing. New share. Just share. So if I go to localhost and if we open console, you can see it says running. So we put a console log in the fetch nearby places promise to see if it's actually running or not. And so you can see that it's running there. And then if we click share location, don't allow. Ooh.
Yeah, it's fetching all those images too. So you'd have to, I think you can filter this by the word nearby.
Where's the filter? Oh. Yeah.
So and it just made one call. So that's, which isn't conclusive proof, but it's probably true.
It's pretty good.
In my experience, like whenever you would hit that share location thing, it'll make a few calls as it kind of dials in the accuracy of the location. So that's pretty good. I think once we have it merged with the other one, you're right, we'll be able to tell more or tell like sort of definitively. Cool. This is
so we'll probably whoever we're switching to, whoever takes over this issue can like explore the other option of like checking to see. I mean, are you saying maybe like just setting the promise to like a constant and then checking the state of that constant? Or
yeah, like saving the promise itself to state. But I think it's fine to just use a Boolean too. But the nice thing about having the actual promise there is you can, you check for whether it's pending or resolved, and you would know the true
just
state.
Blew my mind. I forgot you could put literally anything in state. That's a smart way to do it.
Yep, it's the benefits of a functional programming language.
Okay.
Functions are top level things that can be saved and passed around and stuff. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yep. Good stuff though. That's fun. Yeah. It's like I don't know. I enjoy this. It's cool because it's like those are real programming concerns, Not that the other project doesn't have those, but yeah, good work. Really, really good work. Yeah. Let's I guess move into the retro. I didn't actually have time today myself to add a bunch of stuff, but did anyone else actually add anything to the retro yet?
Yeah, put some stuff in.
I put a few.
Okay, cool. Would people be, oops, that's not what to do. Oh, right now there's a doc there. How do you get rid of that? How do I go away? I don't want to. Looks like Aisling, maybe would it be okay if we take 5 minutes to just kind of put some stuff on here?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, cool. I'm actually gonna stop sharing so you're not watching me type.
So intimate.
All my typos and stuff. I guess you can kind of watch it in real time almost, but all right. All right, well, I'm gonna mute for 5 minutes or so and we'll I'm ready whenever you are, Aisling.
Sorry, after all my talk, my computer just like was like, no. So I'm doing it on my phone. Sorry.
Oh no.
Jinxed it completely. I'm already done. I just have to do the act, I think. But,
Okay. I'm going to try to find a different retro format every time we do one, just to expose you to some different options.
I'm done there now, I think.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Maybe this week we'll go in reverse order, or do people care? We'll just go in order too. That'd be fine. Amber, actually, why don't you kick us off, Amber? The liked category.
Sure. So for my likes, I really liked that we got on that group call. I think we'll especially need one probably for this week as well. But I think like maybe as like a general thing to integrate into the program, even having like a quick 5-minute hop in. Because I was talking to like some of my friends that are working fully remote, and they like effectively still have like mini stand-ups where they just all hop in a Zoom call for 5 minutes just to be like, I'm doing task X and Y today. And we don't do that obviously, but like just having that like moment to just meet up to be like, this is what's happening, yada yada. I think it was really helpful for us. So I would like to see it futurely integrated into the program.
Mm-hmm.
But I also enjoyed just seeing everybody's faces. It was nice. And I think it was like really great to work with. I was a little like afraid that we wouldn't get everything done since we did have to like front load the week with really both of our schedules. But when we started working together, I don't know, it just came really easy and it felt really fast. So it was just like, it was great to work with them. So those are the things I liked.
Nice. Yeah, and just to kind of second that, just how the group is working, coordinating, coming up with these really good solutions and everything. It's yeah, I'm really liking how y'all are doing that. Yeah, it's like you're starting to kind of gel as a team, like you're getting to know each other, and you're it's clear that you're not sort of just rank beginners at all this stuff anymore. So it's cool. And then just with all the waves hands stuff going on, I just really love having Collab Lab as a place that I can kind of focus on trying to make some difference in the world. So anyway, thank you all for wanting to be here.
Yeah, that's supposed to be midweek, not meet week. I don't know what happened to me there. Yeah, I think the midweek meeting was really good. It's great to gain perspective on what each pair is doing and what they need from the other pair and things like that. This week it was kind of like damage control on the merge disasters, but it was really helpful, and like everyone is just so enjoyable to work with. Every week I learn something new, whether it's like a little hack or just something like not even related to React. It's about like VS Code or whatever. So it's just so invaluable, and I totally agree. Like Collab Lab is such a good space for me because my day job, I don't really code. Like it's a digital role, but it's not coding, and I just feel like I can't lose the code. So I'm just clinging onto it. So yeah, I appreciate everyone's support.
Great. Jen.
Okay. So I'm happy because the Slack is noisier. That always makes me happy whenever I see the stuff, even though I haven't been the most responsive because of like all the stuff that's going on. It really makes me happy. So thank you, everybody. And I just want to give a shout out to everybody because often I will have to take care of my daughter while pairing. And everyone has to listen to Sesame Street and Elmo or something in the background. So thanks for being patient with me, and my brain's not always been 100% there. So I really appreciate everyone for being so accommodating.
Yeah, one day that'll be me as well. So I'm just prepping. Yeah, just thank you for Amber for working with my schedule, because I knew kind of going into the week that I was heading out into the wilderness for a few days, and so helping us kind of front load and getting that done early in the week just really took a lot off the plate, which was really nice. And then, shout out to Aisling for coordinating our call. That was a really great spot. It was something I didn't even think of, and it was definitely something that was helpful. And so seeing that and getting that kind of spearheading that was awesome. And then, same, just everyone being really chatty in the first week was great. And then we dipped a little bit, but we had that call to make up for it. And overall, we were still much more chatty overall. And yeah, I remember Jen saying how much that like made her day when she saw everyone being super chatty. So I really like that. It kind of keeps the team spirit up and keeps me motivated. So that was great.
Nice. Cool. Learnt, to use the UK version of that word. Amber.
Yeah, so like what I have there, along with another thing that I thought about just in general, because I was talking with Jen when we did the story this week, where I'm like, I'm not that great with like acing stuff. Like, when I do it, it kind of feels like managing a bunch of cars just going into a roundabout. And I'm like, So it's just nice to like have a moment to like sit and like think through a problem that I dealt with this specifically, as opposed to kind of like reading a Medium article and trying to logic my way through it and that sort of thing. And also, like I have there, I didn't really know about about empty dictionaries being falsy. I mean, not falsy. See, because in my head I thought they were falsy because I'm like, oh, it's empty. Why wouldn't? So yeah, always good to learn new things. And it reminded me that one of the many Udemy courses I have bought and looked at occasionally is like I don't think it's literally that. It was like JavaScript understanding the weird parts type of thing. And I'm like, oh, I should hop into that because I'm sure there's a bunch of little things like that I need to learn. So yeah.
Nice. So there are acceptance criteria I haven't documented. So I will, after this meeting, add that one to the doc for future cohorts so I don't forget it. But I probably also should put on here that I probably need to be keeping notes for retros as we go, because I'm sure there are a lot more things I probably could or should be saying here. But my weeks got away from me too. So thanks for your understanding.
Just during the week I was watching Matthew commit his code, and he did it separately by file. He used Visual Studio Code, some of the stuff on the left, one of the extensions. That was like mind blowing because I was always an Atom user, so I still like, there's a lot of Visual Studio Code stuff I still need to actually sit down and do 2 days of just like shortcuts and stuff. So yeah, it was brilliant. So thank you for showing me that. And also merging the master into your branch instead of merging your branch into the master. Usually it worked for me, but obviously this one was so much stuff was going on. So I'll definitely take that into account going forward.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's called branch maintenance is one thing I've heard it called over the years. So, in a real world setting, like you're going to have a lot of branches that live for different lengths of time. Master's changing all the time because there's a bunch of people committing to it. So you just, every time master changes, you just merge it back into your branch. And then by the time you go to merge your branch into master, it should be nearly up to date, like very few conflicts, if any.
So for me, is having that exchange with Matthew, that was great, because it jogged my memory, and I was like, oh yeah, we did talk about this in coding boot camp like 6 months ago, but then I totally forgot. So, but I just really like it. It's like real applications of what you're talking about. So what you would think like, oh, well, a dictionary is an empty dictionary is falsy, no big deal. But then like when you actually try to do it and you're like, no, that's not. And there's like reasons why you wouldn't want that. And so that was like a really cool thing to learn in like a couple hours ago. So I really appreciate that.
Nice.
What is the actual reason? Do you have a succinct, like, because it totally made sense when I read that. I'm like, oh, that should be falsy. And I like researched it myself. Do you remember, Jen?
I think I don't know if you know, Andrew, but to my understanding, it's because a lot of dictionary stuff, if you think about it, also the way that JavaScript equates dictionaries or not, sorry, objects to each other, you have to create an actual, like, what do you call it? Matching function. There's not one out of the box because it depends entirely on how your object is structured. And like having, I forget, I don't know why specifically not falsy, but I think it's because an empty dictionary is not necessarily, sorry, I totally blanked. I totally forgot what we concluded, but there is a reason. Yeah, that is a good question.
If I had to guess, it's I mean, a dictionary is just an object, right? An object, everything,
yes.
and everything is not a primitive, right? So primitives are strings and numbers.
Yeah.
And booleans, and not a number.
So
Anything else is
it's not
an
a
object.
primitive?
Yeah, it's like those are all objects, and so even an empty object has properties on it. Like an empty object would be one that doesn't have any properties, but all objects have properties, and they have properties up the prototype chain and all this kind of stuff. So I don't think there would be any, there's no actually there's like has own properties or something. There's some method on an empty object that you could maybe use to tell it it's empty or something, but yeah, it's just kind of impractical to have an empty object, I think, is my guess. I mean, maybe there's a better reason.
Yeah, most of the time you'd be looking inside the dictionary for a certain value, whether it's there or not, right? And so whether like there's no key value pairs in an object is not really of much use to most people. Is that the idea behind it, I think?
So, and like an empty array, that's the thing that's a little bit weird to me, is that an array is just a type of object too, but an empty array is considered falsy. It's a little bit like, you know,
Gotcha.
I know an empty array is like falsy in other languages too. I wonder if it just like kind of like took it from other languages as well as what's falsy or not. So
yeah, like it was gonna be easier to have it be falsy than have everyone complain about how it's truthy or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
There.
It makes me want to find out what the real reason is, though. So
yeah, no, I'd be Googling.
Yeah.
But yeah, for learning, I just mentioned Google Maps because I got to explore kind of some of their functions, and they had like 10 different like event listeners you can add. There's like hover things that there is there. So I remember before the call I asked what I could learn going into this, and you say Google Maps, and I didn't take you up on it. I shouldn't.
Did you find that they have a sample map where you do stuff on it? It has all the events listed, and they light up if they're happening. Did you find that little demo on Google's site?
I don't know if I got that far, but I did look at the documentation a little bit.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You're like, whoa, a lot of stuff's happening anytime you interact with the map. So
yeah, nice. And then yeah, I think this is from the week before, but the unpacking of the props inside the parameters was a really cool way to just get rid of a line of code in each thing. And actually I adapted that to my portfolio site that I've been working on. And then the last one, yeah, I learned that gathering for the quick call can remove blockers that I don't even really know is there. And it kind of like questions I didn't even realize I had until we were on the call. And then it just made me more efficient moving forward because we already kind of answered some questions that I might have had. So yeah, that was helpful.
Yeah. Cool. Nice. All right. And then what have we lacked, or what has been lacking?
Yeah, like it says up there, it's been a pretty rough week, just in terms of life, and then like how life affects like literally everyone. Like when things are like contentious, it really affects like how you sleep, how you think, like your energy level, like all those sort of things. So it's been interesting. Just like trying to make sure I also still have like time for this, or not time for this, but like energy to put towards this, energy to put towards job applications, energy to put towards work. So it's been a challenge, but such is life, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, you probably all saw my message in the channel, the Learning Together channel, but yeah, it is just 2020 is such a shit show. And the last 4 years, 3.5 years have been this kind of terrible and like, so it's like all feel like it's coming to a head and stuff. So, especially for my black friends, like it's like I don't even know what to say or do. You know what I mean? It's like I don't know how to be supportive or how to, what I can do. So and just the last few days, it just yeah, really like seeing the way that the police are reacting to things. It's like that's not how that's supposed to go. I mean, like just shooting journalists. Like here's my press pass, boom. Like what the heck? That's just. Anyway, so yeah, I'm pretty afraid for the state of things and like what's like we have an election in 6 months, like or 5 months, like what's going to happen in the next 5 months? It's going to be a rough summer. So anyway, so yeah, so I haven't made a lot of time for code reviews this week. I will try to do better with that too myself, but yeah, I mean, I don't see much lacking from you all. Like you all are still, putting in the work and doing great work. So my resolution is to kind of step up and keep up with you over the next 2 weeks. So.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I think it's very strange. Obviously, I'm in Canada, so it's slightly different, but we're hearing it and seeing it all the time. So it's on top of COVID, which is just bizarre. But yeah, I think for me, I find it easier to like hit the ground running at the start of the week. When it comes to the weekend, I'm like, switch off. I'm terrible. So yeah, so definitely if you can like even just what I've done twice now with Matthew is we've split up the tasks, which works really well actually. So even if you could just like not even if you don't meet the person at the start of the week, actually just split up the tasks a little bit and just have something when you first meet. That's kind of helpful. And then actually, yeah, the clarification of the AC, probably should have just thrown a message into Slack earlier in the week. So yeah, I think it's just like getting a real good hold of the issue at the start of the week and like possibly identifying where you might run into difficulty. Yeah.
So, yeah, I definitely agree with that. I've definitely been kind of not on the ball for like this week and last week, and it always feels like a mad dash scramble in the end kind of thing. So I think that's what's really lacking, and also like for me, lack of balance. At work, I have like data pipelines, like big data pipelines, where I have to like the code takes like half an hour to run, and so I feel like I'm literally coding all day because it's like when that's up and running, I'm like doing this, and then I'm also thinking about Collab Lab, and like I'm just like coding just like all the time, and by the time it hits like Wednesday, and just my brain can't think anymore. So I think finding something else to do other than coding, even though it's like it's my passion, it's definitely also draining to be doing the same thing all the time. So gotta find some balance so that I can actually have the energy to do Collab Lab kind of thing.
Yeah, and then for mine, this was easily one where I couldn't have written anything and it would have been fine because I really don't think we were lacking anything. I think the group did great. I think Andrew, you did great. So I like pressed myself to, to come up with something. But yeah, just I guess myself, I could have written a bit more in Slack earlier in the week because usually when I do that and I get feedback back, that like gives me more motivation to keep working. Sorry. But yeah, it was a crazy week, so definitely. And then I guess for maybe a thing that could have been helpful is just maybe like a hint in the AC about how like you are going to need to use Google Maps, because I wasted way too much time reading the Google Map React, which wasn't exactly where I needed to go. I also needed to go to Google Maps itself. So maybe that, because I think the question was how to be more efficient. So maybe that could have helped me or help that AC be slightly more efficient. But yeah,
makes sense. Would you mind adding that to the doc for future?
Sure.
Cohorts? Cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Right on. is there anything we should take out of this as in terms of like what we can kind of focus on over the coming 2 weeks, and to is there anything any adjustments we should make, I guess?
I'm wondering if for like the issues, I know you like laid them out like pretty well, but I'm wondering if we're really gonna do like a Kanban style workflow, if all the ACs should just be their own separate issues, or like very, very like more micro issues, so that like you said earlier, if they could just like, so then a PR ties in directly with that and then it just closes it, or how you think it might be better organized.
Yeah, it's a really good question. So in Kanban, well, let's see, in Scrum, which is more like what you did in your first cohort, the idea is that the team sort of, as a group, estimates sort of the relative complexity or size of the different stories. And then they decide how many stories or how many story points, because you give them points like, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, whatever, how many story points they think they can get done in the next increment. And for us, we were doing 1 week increments. And so that is okay. That's one way to do it. In Kanban, the idea is that you try to make every story be about the same like actual duration. Like on my team at work, that means what we're shooting for is that no story should take more than 3 days. So, if we're consistently it's taking 4, 5, 6 days to get things done, we need to be taking those stories and breaking them up into multiple stories. It's okay to have small stories, but it's not okay to have ones that are much bigger than 3 days. So within a story, just to kind of keep themselves organized, my engineers will take the story and break it up into tasks and stuff, and they'll do things sort of in order. They'll submit multiple PRs. But the sort of user-facing unit of value is the story itself. So if there are ways to have user-facing value that's smaller, then we should definitely break those stories up. And there probably is. I mean, 7 AC is a little excessive. Actually 8 AC, right? So doing a sweep over those and just it's in Kanban, it's called right sizing. So I don't know what our goal would be for right sizing. If it's, I guess it's 5 hours a week, right? So like 4 hours of 2 people's time is sort of what a right-sized story should be in our world, I guess. So the way that we do that at work is that the team looks at all the stories, and so it's not the product manager, it's not me, the engineering manager, saying like these stories are all correct. It's the team says, okay, this is the thing you want. I don't think we can get that done in 3 days. Was there a way that we can split it? There's kind of they're almost like algorithms like that you can run through to kind of see like, can you split the story up? So what we could do, what might be a good use of our time is at some point to do what's called a grooming session, where we look at the stories as a team and we say, that one looks big. Is there any way to, I don't think we can get that done in the, 8 person hours in a week. Is there a way to split it up? Kind of do that as a group. Might be a good exercise. You could probably
maybe we could do during like our retro next week or something.
Yeah, actually, it's a really good idea. It's it'd be a really good collaboration learning module to go through a grooming exercise. So I like that idea a lot. Yep.
Okay.
Cool.
That's good.
Yeah. Anything else? I love that idea though. It's like, and it's really good because it's like, I don't want the learning module to be too technical. I want them to be more about collaboration, because that's why you're here and that's what you're trying to learn. So that's a really good one.
So like, for example, our PR, Andrew, will we merge that but just leave the issue open? Is that the idea?
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And if we had a more sophisticated project board, GitHub projects they're not that great. Like there are ones that have a lot more kind of granular controls. Mm-hmm. I would just leave the issue open in our case and just leave a couple things unchecked or whatever. Like we use this thing called Jira at work, which is both terrible and wonderful. And it allows you to, you can you would literally make tasks, and you would have the story would stay open, but each of the tasks would get resolved, and then once you resolve all the tasks, the story would resolve. So
yeah, okay, cool.
Nice. All right. Yeah, that's a great one. Let's we'll definitely do that. So whoa, I don't want a whole thing. Still getting to know Notion. I'll just remember that for the next 10 minutes and then write it down somewhere. And y'all can remind me if we get to Thursday, I'm like, hey, what do you want to do for a learning module? And be like, we talked about it. So that's cool. Let me pull up project board. So I guess both of the issues are technically kind of still in progress, right? So
that could be moved over, yeah, and mentor review. We'll do that.
This one could be a mentor review as well.
Yeah, or sorry, Amber has to review as well.
Okay. So while you're waiting for me to review those, unless you're planning to make more changes, if you're going to make changes based on today's discussion, drag it back over to in progress. I could even give like a review sort of while it's in progress, based kind of write down some of the things we talked about. And then once those are back in review, feel free to pick up the next ones and move them into progress, even if they're not fully reviewed yet. So once they're kind of on my desk, that's such an outdated way to say it. Anyway, bring the next things into in progress, and we'll just kind of keep moving. But let's look at those. So I think we talked about this one last time, right? Adding a settings modal. So just the modal, not the actual settings. And then the next one that's up after that, tapping the app title returns the user to the welcome screen. So that's what I was talking about with where you, let's see, like say I click on a pin, and if I just tap on the title up here, it brings me back to that main screen. That's a, I mean, how do you all feel about the size of that one? It's gonna take like 3 weeks, right? I mean, it's really complicated. It's a pretty simple one, right? So maybe let's look ahead to this one too. So this one's probably this is a candidate for being probably broken up, to be honest. So we'll see if we get to. Well, let's see. I don't know. Wonder if we should do that now. So add the fetch delay slider to the settings. What could probably happen? Let's see. Oh, actually, no, wait. Yeah, okay, it is. I already broke this up. All right. Good job, past me. So that looks ridiculous. This story is about kind of adding this slider thing to the settings. There's a story that would come later that is about taking the value here and actually having it do something in the app. So so this story is really just about kind of getting the UI in place, and then and storing the value in local storage, and then we'll wire that up to have an effect later on. So you feel like just putting the UI in place, is that realistic in a 1 week span?
I think so. My only thought is that issue depends on the previous issue.
Oh, the modal being there. Yep, true.
Yeah, but
there's a dependency there. Yep.
I think another thing that might be, since this will eventually be Kanban style, is to say this issue needs to be done before this issue is started. Kind of like a nod to a Gantt chart kind of thing, so people know they don't accidentally just pick up an issue and realize they can't do it.
Yeah, that's a really good call out. I'm actually going to add it to 10.
I have kind of a silly question.
Yeah.
What number do you normally go off of, like when referring to issues?
Yeah,
Like,
that's a good question, because these are the numbers down here are the number. That's the order that I created the issue. This is the number. This is the order that they're supposed to be done in.
Okay.
Right. So in the for future cohorts, I'll be able to. I'll have this automated, so it'll actually those numbers will be the same. But and this time I was like just thinking of things and then like putting them into GitHub.
Okay. So the main bigger number that's in the bold and blue, that's the correct one we referred to one. Yeah, that number represents like the rough order that these need to happen in. Yeah. Okay.
If you want it to actually, if you want your PR to actually close it though, you'll have to use the number that GitHub sees it by. So when you drop it down, just make sure you put the hashtag and then click on the drop down on the right one, because otherwise it'll close the wrong issue.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's a good point.
Okay.
Is there some other symbol besides the hash symbol that I could use to? I guess I could just do 8: instead of #8: right? For the titles, and then there won't be any confusion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good work.
Or like NO for like number or something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I guess this one should be picked up next, so that we are for sure done with it before that one, and then whoever gets to the whoever is next, I guess, takes this one, which is pretty simple. But then so this one actually, number 9, kind of ties into number 11, because you need to be able to, well, it makes it easier if you can get back to that main screen. And then that one is going to be about adding the help videos to the app. So that's these videos here. So you can literally, these files, these binaries are in the repo, so you can just use these videos. You don't have to try to record your own or anything. It doesn't matter that for the purpose of the project that it says what's near me up here. It just if you decide you want to keep this living after you leave, you could record your own videos or something. But the videos are kind of a hassle to record. It's kind of why I'm saying that.
Yeah, it's like.
So there's one for iOS, there's one for Android, and basically it's sort of just putting that little help text in there and stuff. So that's that one.
Okay.
The only complexity you probably noticed, like this is like 2/3, 1/3, and when I open this, it kind of animates changes the relative size of the two elements. So you don't have to do it that way. You could actually, after I did that, and then I made the modal, and I was like, oh, I should have just put these in a modal. So you could do a modal too. That might be simpler. But. So that's looking ahead, probably plenty for the next week, I would say, right? And then I think that's a great idea. We'll go through kind of a proper grooming and story splitting session and stuff next time. Is that cool?
Yep.
All right.
Sounds good.
Nice. All right. Well, great work. Hang in there with everything. Honestly, like outside of even like my role with Collab Lab and stuff, if there's anything you all need, any way I can support you through all of this, please do let me know.
Good.
All right. Thanks. Have a good rest of or a good whatever today is.
What is time?
I don't know.
Have a good time.
Seriously.
The rest of your month.
Yeah. See ya.